Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam, and I like to talk about all things film, physical media, Blu-ray. And I am extremely excited to have a wonderful guest. It's a long time overdue, and we've spoken many times online, but never face to face. Face to face, online face to face. I am joined by the extremely prolific content creator, Blu-ray producer, special features producer, podcaster extraordinaire, Ryan Verrill. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing well. I am personally honored to be here. I've loved your stuff for years, and it's just amazing to be able to speak to you.
Awesome. Yeah, feelings mutual. So today's video, we're just going to go over you as a person and your career as such, like in the space of physical media and your
Yeah.
contributions to, you know, promoting film and physical media and the special feature side of things and just all that stuff, which is a lot of things to cover because I don't know how you do it, but maybe we'll get some snippets into your life and how you manage to fit all this stuff in.
Sure.
So I'm going to bring some stuff up on the screen, and we can talk through, sort of not too structured, but just to give me at least some visual cues of what we can talk about. So let's add this. So as one of the things that you like to do in the space, you are produced with many collaborators, I should add, a physical media zine. So we like to collect physical media in the space, physical discs and books as such, and vinyl records and things like that. So a lot of publications these days are all online, which is fine, but there's still that niche desire from a lot of people who want to read about this stuff.
Oh yeah.
That want it hard copy. I mean, I know some people who subscribe to this have digital, but I'm very much a hard copy person if I can get my own. So just tell the viewers and listeners out there, like, what brought this on and the desire, because God knows how much you actually do to also write and edit and design a zine every month for your Patreon members, and also it's available on like Amazon and some of the stores, like brick and mortar stores in the US. Actually, stock copies of this. So just tell us about the Physical Media Advocate.
So this all started in probably the about May of 2023. I was in a sort of collaborative group to sort of support other podcasts that are around film, and this was mostly done by the incredible and somebody I look up to a lot, Mike White, over at the Projection Booth podcast. He was leading this group, and we had funny enough, we started about 10 different individuals that were all in there that already had film podcasts, and we were all helping each other, like giving feedback on how things could be better, giving sort of insight into what we've seen with growth and how we could help each other do better in the scene. And by the end of the it was about a 2.5 month like collaboration that we were doing this for. We were down to maybe 3 out of the 10 that lasted the entire time. But one of the weeks that we were talking about of ideas that we could help in our selected field, somebody brought up the idea of a newsletter, and I went, there's not really like an all-encompassing physical media newsletter out there. And so for my Patreon, I think it was the first 2 or 3 months, I decided, let me just see if I can do like a digital newsletter where you're sending out a list of all the release dates of some exciting things coming up, maybe chime in with my opinions on some of the more anticipated releases. And if somebody missed like the biggest news article of the month, what would they want to read about the most? And that's all it was. It was, the first one was, I think, six pages of a PDF, something like that. And eventually it started to be this thing where people were like, this is kind of incredible, and I would really love this in paper form so I can like highlight something that I want or be able to circle it or refer to it on my shelf in 3 years. And I went, yeah, that's cool, but that's impossible. I can't really do that. And then I found out like 6 months later, if I really wanted to, I can. I just need to make them a little bit longer. So once they got to be, I think the minimum page length was like 24 pages for printing. I went, well, let's try it. And it was a lot of learning at the beginning because the whole print on demand space has very stringent requirements for like margins and all that, that they don't even tell you. They'll tell you, hey, something's wrong, but won't tell you what is wrong. And so sometimes the
Okay.
review process is annoying beyond belief. But I went through that and finally figured out a process so that we can do this every 30 to 45 days ish. And suddenly there's people from all over the world collaborating on this. We've got, Eugenio Ercolani that you've spoken to over in Italy, who is contributing to this on a mostly monthly basis. We've got individuals that are highlighting old Hollywood stars for their birthdays. We've got our mutual friend Chris Haskell from the They Live by Film podcast. He is highlighting the Arrow video releases that came out in the US, all of the first 100 releases. People don't know this yet because it's not public, but Adam Lundy from the Radiance podcast is now releasing a review series of all of the Radiance releases that are coming out every single issue.
That's exciting.
It's crazy. I mean, we're getting exclusive interviews. I wrote Mad Libs for this. We've done crossword puzzles, doing everything we can to make it interesting and compelling to where people would want it. And yeah, like you said, it's available pretty much worldwide on Amazon. And in the US, it has sort of caught on in some of the retailers, like Scarecrow Video is a huge supporter. They get many copies every single month. We got multiple places in LA that are carrying it. I'm working on one or two in New York City right now. There are multiple places in Georgia carrying it. We've got Granby, Massachusetts, working on one in Chicago right now, and it's even in Canada. I still can't believe that something that I created is on sale in another country. That's insane to me.
Yeah, and just for audiences, look, watching this video, I have like hard copies, myself, and they're really, really nice. Like the design, the artwork is usually the same guy who does the artwork on the front covers, and they're all really, really good. And yeah, just the breadth of the things that are covered is surely to satisfy anyone who has even a particular niche. But like if you're broadly into cinema and physical media, like a lot of people follow you and your channel, like have multiple interests and not specifically into one type of thing. And this is exactly the sort of thing that people will probably eat up. And yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I've got, I think, every issue. So
what you just said is my goal. Really, is I did it for what would I be interested in reading, and I know for what you can see on the screen right now, there's one that is highlighting some of the articles. And the hard part, we kind of want to do that on every issue, but the artwork is so fun, we don't really want to blur any of the artwork. So that one on the right, like there are people worldwide reading this, and they can't all attend Beyond Fest in LA. So we have a full rundown of what somebody that was in LA went to, all of the Q&As that they attended, some of the more interesting tidbits that you can hear in these like very exclusive interviews. Some of these, they're done for 150 people in a room, and no one else in the world will ever hear that.
Yeah,
That's so exclusive. It's unnecessary. So yeah, we'll share it with the world. But we got that. We've got a long piece on Karen Black in that issue, and then we've even got more modern cinema that we talk about, and a full piece on Abel Ferrara. It's so much fun and really kind of all encompassing. So I mean, you might have an article on DVD menus, and then the next piece go to like a silent film star, and those really couldn't be more different. But for a lot of us, that's kind of exactly the type of mindset that we have on these. We don't really stay to one niche. We're not all stuck in Italian cannibal movies. We want to watch kind of everything and really just sort of enjoy all of cinema.
well said. So just one of the things that Ryan has on his plate on a daily basis, I guess. So we'll move on to the next thing that launched this year. Someone's favorite productions. So this is a company that you co-founded with Dr. Will Dodson.
Correct.
And I'll let you have the floor on this one.
One of the things that I've said on my YouTube channel for years that have pissed people off somehow is my ongoing motto is every single movie has been someone's favorite movie. And that's how we got the title for this, because we want to highlight through what we're doing that no matter what film we're touching, there's something that we can find redeeming in it. And we want people to feel that through our work as well. So in the summer of 2023, Dr. Will Dodson and we got together in person for the first time. and we recorded in one weekend 3 audio commentaries that we had been planning on and got them all done, and we enjoyed it, and the companies liked them, so we said, why don't we see if we can do some more, and started trying to pitch ourselves to a couple labels, announced this publicly that we were going to be doing this, and it has been a whirlwind. This was officially announced, I think, in September of 2023, and since that first day, we've not had to go ask anybody for work. We have been so busy with everything that they've contacted us about that we just don't have time to take on more. So it's been crazy. We do visual essays, we do audio commentaries, we do audio transcriptions. So if people want full like written transcriptions of work that they already have, we are doing that. We've done social media management for companies. But the bigger thing is starting in 2024 as a company, we are going to be doing full release production from the ground up. So a label will be acquiring a title and we'll be hiring people for special features, not necessarily ourselves. We will be finding extras. We will be finding artists. We will be doing all the QC work and getting everything ready for the label to say, this is good to go. We're sending it to authoring. And it's going to be a very busy year. We have taken on a lot of projects that I cannot wait for people to see the fruits of this labor, because it's going to be a fun time.
That's amazing. Wow. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank
wow. So it's one of the things that I enjoyed, speaking of audio commentaries. I'm not sure if this was the first one, so forgive me, but it's definitely the first one I heard from you was the Spider Labyrinth commentary. Was this the first one that was released, or maybe not?
This is the first physical release that we were ever publicly on. This is not the first one we recorded, but yes,
right.
first one that's been released.
Awesome. It's fantastic. As well as the there's a visual essay that you collaborated with Erica
Schultz, yeah.
And that's really good. And I really like that visual essay because it's more academic.
Yes.
And there's even academic, people on camera talking about the themes of the film and stuff. And that isn't done as much as you would maybe think it is done in the space, considering how many visual essays there are. I mean, some of them can be have lean towards academic side of things. And I don't know if people don't want those on physical media releases too much, because the majority of film fans in the world aren't academics. So, but at least people who are serious about it might want to glean something more from a release. But I don't know, that's just how I think, because I lean towards the academic things. If an audio commentary is more that way, or a visual essay is more that, has that more persuasion, then I like that more. But it's not to everyone's taste, but it is to my taste. So it was really good. And one that I watched a little while ago that is maybe it is academic, but very tongue-in-cheek academic, and it's the yeah, you're laughing because it is hilarious. Your co-founder of Someone's Favorite Productions, Will Dodson, in his very suspicious wig, basically doing a lecture on the Wynorski verse, basically. And it's absolutely hilarious. But it's, even though it's like tongue-in-cheek, it's like it's extremely well done and informative and stuff. So it's a balancing act to not be taking the piss, but also not take itself too seriously. Because if you're a fan of this director's work, you can't take this guy's work seriously, even though many of them are quite entertaining. So that's fantastic. So big fan of these two that I at least have. So yeah, he's very every week, well, it's once a month, isn't it? You have Will on generally onto the show. So I should probably mention you have a weekly show on Thursdays, which unfortunately, due to the time difference, I don't get to watch live very often, but I do tune in if I so happen to be on a night shift at work. I usually just say, hey guys, how's it going? And then I'll have it on in the background because I have to actually do my job, but I'm always listening. But it's always put on as a podcast on all the different streaming services that you can get. So you can listen to the audio of that, which is what I do on my commutes and stuff, just so I can catch up with everything. and now I lost my train of thought. But yeah, that's how I came to you, is through the Disconnected
Right.
YouTube channel, and just enjoying those live streams, and then eventually joining the Patreon so I could be in part of that amazing community that you've grown over the years, basically. And I've made some friends through that community who I speak
Yeah.
to, and it's just fantastic. And even though I'm not always the most active in terms of commenting in that group, I read pretty much everything. I'm very much a
Yeah.
fly on the wall, and I love observing the discourse between people, but it's all very civil and really interesting and thoughtful, and it's just great. And yeah, I love that. So just thought I'd put that out there.
So much I could comment on there. I love it. I mean, even like the academic side is a really it's a really interesting area because there are some people that treat I- they treat even physical media as sort of pretentious and better than in some situations. And really, it's like we're watching SOV trash. This isn't this isn't an art house drama or anything like that. And even the ones that are, there are still ways to make that interesting for people. And I think one of the things that we're really trying to do with someone's favorite is lean into accessible ways to break down these films and contextualize them that at its heart are super academic. I mean, my co-founder is literally a professor. He is somebody that teaches this stuff day to day in universities. And so when he writes like an academic. If you go to our website, a lot of the people that are our collaborators are people that are full blown. They were either his students and now they're professors, or they're people he's met at lectures across the country or something like that. And we are trying to deliver really great information in very entertaining ways. And I kind of think that's where we've been setting ourselves apart because, like the Papadopoulos visual essay, the whole thing, it's essentially a parody. I mean, Will
Yeah.
is playing a character in this entire thing. I mean, his name pops up on the screen as Dr. Roderick von Bustier, and it's hilarious because it's essentially a Jim Wynorski full-blown documentary, but it's done in a way where you're laughing like every 30 seconds and edited in a way that keeps you hopefully entertained for the entire runtime. And it's such a joy to be able to deliver that and see some of these labels respond to this and go, this is kind of incredible. I'm so glad that we get this on the disc. And I mean, some of our more art house type of releases that we've been on, like some of the Deaf Crocodile stuff that people have never seen. We're talking stuff that was released in, Romania in 1974 to 12 people, and now it's finally getting shown to the world. That's actually not true. That hasn't happened on a release yet. But many of those Deaf Crocodile releases are people discovering them for the first time. And sure, you'll watch the film and you may love it on first try, but you may also need a little bit of a nudge and some background information as to what that meant. And so we're trying to do what we can to make it delivered, some actual education in a fun way.
Yeah, speaking of like context and stuff, there's countless amount of times where I've watched a film and been lukewarm on it, or like, oh, that was interesting, but like
Yeah,
there were some of the themes that went over my head, maybe, or whatever. And then you can just watch a visual essay or read like an actual written essay in a book,
right.
or like a booklet that comes included in the release, and it can completely like change your viewpoint of it. It's almost like having a conversation with someone coming out of the theater, but because some of these films, most of them we're never going to see seen on the
Exactly.
big screen, and we're buying them on physical media and we're watching them. A lot of the time, some of these films are being watched, by yourself, depending on your interests, and or your partner or the people in your family have interests about as well. So you don't always have someone to converse with these things. So like having those booklets and audio commentaries and the visual essays can just flash it can even make you like the film even less, but if that makes any sense.
Yep.
Not due to the quality of the extras, but just because it like may cement your feelings about something or change your
Yeah.
mind. But I love how transformative extras can be, and the work that goes into them. In the community, I feel it gets its fair due, but like in the wider space in film culture, I think it needs more spotlight put on it, to be honest.
I agree.
um but yeah, so still connected to someone's favorite productions, there is a whole host of podcasts. One of my favorite things to consume while I'm doing, chores or driving or working is to listen to podcasts. And you have your hand in an obscene amount of podcasts. So we'll start off with this one. So these all started this year. Deaf Crocodile. I've said this before on my channel, but I think Deaf Crocodile are one of the most interesting labels working today, particularly in the last few years. It's unbelievable what the guys over there are doing, and I was very pleased that they announced that they're doing a podcast so we can keep up with what's going on behind the scenes and get a rundown of what the releases are looking like and stuff. And you chair that, you're the host of that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe what your role is there, because you don't work for Deaf Crocodile, but you've done supplemental material work for them, but you're not part of the company. So you chair this podcast for them, and it's amazing. So tell us about this.
Yeah, this was wild because Dr. Will Dodson and I, we were both able to take a trip out to Los Angeles this year. Uh, I think it was July into August, and I was there for almost 2 full weeks and had a long list of individuals I wanted to meet with. And at the top of that list was Deaf Crocodile. These are 2 people I respect immensely, that I've interviewed multiple times on my show, that I've done work for at that point already, that I wanted to be able to shake their hands and say, hey, we support you and want to do what we can to help you. And it ended up being such an interesting, not just like networking, but collaborative environment. I mean, I even slept at one of the founders' houses. I slept at his house for like 5 days, but we were sitting there talking about ways to expand what Deaf Crocodile's done since they left OCN distribution. And I said, well, one of the things that I do is I kind of run a podcast network. What if we had a Deaf Crocodile podcast and be able to, share not just insight into the film that you're releasing, but the company, and interview some people that we work with, and share some of our collaborators' feelings on these. And they loved the idea. I really kind of leaned into what Severin has done. Every time Severin has an announcement, they've already recorded a podcast episode. And so later that day, after the announcement is there for everybody, you can go listen to 90 minutes of them discussing why it's an important release for their company and what's great about it and all the details and all that fun stuff. Deaf Crocodile said, that's kind of perfect. And they said, we don't have time to run it, but we would love to have one. And I said, well, that's kind of my gig. So here's where I step in. And we've been having Dennis and Craig on pretty much every single episode. We've had a couple interview style episodes where we've had either historians come on that are on some of their releases, or like my favorite episode with them is we had one of the individuals come on from Duplatech, which is one of the authoring and restoration companies in physical media. And he and Craig Rogers of Deaf Crocodile are both restoration artists. They've been working on this stuff for years, and hearing the behind the scenes that got very technical, quite nerdy, and just explain how much work these all are, what it means to them, how these releases even end up in our hands in a presentable shape I was mystified to be able to be a part of it. I don't know how I got here really when I look back on it, but it was like, for me, it felt like, and that's why I'm doing these, because I wanted to hear that episode. So if I could set it up, why would I not?
and you get to hear it first before anyone else.
and then edit it for everybody as well. Yes.
Yeah, I remember when you said in the Discord that this episode was coming, and it was just like got a bit of buzz in the community that this sort of thing was coming, and it is a fantastic episode, as you said. So it's very nerdy and in depth, but not alienating, though, in a good way. So yeah, fantastic. So that's Deaf Crocodile. People, if you're watching this or listening to this and you've not checked out anything from Deaf Crocodile, you're depriving yourself of a treasure trove of cinematic gems. So go check them out and see if anything takes your fancy. Next up, one of my favorite labels ever, Mondo Macabro. You also run this podcast. This is the official Mondo Macabro podcast, and you run this nearly every episode. I think Jared's been on nearly most of the episodes, and you also
He's been on one or two,
yeah, okay. And then you have Chris has been on as like a co sort of podcaster, just to talk about all the announcements that come up, because this is not as regular because of the release schedule for Mondo Macabro is a lot less frequent than other labels,
right?
And just because of the operation and stuff. But it always feels like a really special event when Mondo Macabro drops something, because you're not getting 5 releases every month. You're like getting an announcement of like 2, 3, sometimes 4 titles, but then you may have to wait for them to come out, which is not a problem. But then wait several months maybe before another set of announcements come out.
Right.
But yeah, I'm absolutely in love with the work that they do and the cinematic discovery I've had with them. Very excited for the upcoming releases from the October sale announcement to come out soon. So tell us about your collaboration with Mondo Macabro on this one.
Happily. I mean, I started as a fan, just like yourself. There was, oh man, I honestly, I'm trying to look over and see if I can remember which title it was, but there was something in, gosh, probably 2016 at this point that I happened to stumble upon during a sale, and it was the most intriguing copy I had read up to that point. And so I blind bought one of their titles, and I went, this is unlike anything I've ever seen in my life, and I love it so much. And based on that, I started slowly acquiring pretty much everything they'd ever put out. And somehow every single disc that I put in was like almost better than the last. And on top of that, by the time I'd watched like 10 or 12 of them, I understood that they had had the highest hit rate for what I've enjoyed from any label ever, by far. Like, it was way higher than anyone else. And so I just went down a rabbit hole. I think I have all but like 3 releases they've ever put out at this point, which many of them are incredibly hard to come by at this because they've been around for decades, literally. And so I've fallen in love with many of their films. Eventually, Jared, who is the U.S. Side of Mondo Macabro, he and Pete Toombs are the ones that run the label now. I spoke to him on Facebook about something. We became friends, and so we would chat every so often. I would help, give feedback or give encouragement, because Jared gets down about some of the feedback sometimes. Because, like you said, some of the shipments can take some time, and they're a smaller operation, and people don't understand that. So I would, just try to give him a cheerful word, because most of what he was hearing was rude.
Yeah.
So eventually, we just became friends, and I would message him every so often, and then we started to try to collaborate a little bit. We did a Mondo Macabro announcement episode on the Disconnected. We did a full-blown giveaway. Chris Haskell, who also loves most of their titles, and we gave away one of their full Halloween sale slates. Like, all of the titles came in, we gave away the entire thing to somebody that was watching, which was so much fun. And eventually I said, I know that you're not like trying to grow like super big here, but could we try to do something like a podcast where we get some information out to people? And he said, that's fine. I can't do it. I would like to be on it, but if you want to run it, totally fine. We can call it the official thing. I'm all for it. Let's do it. And so Chris Haskell and I are the ones that are running this. And you're right. The announcement schedule is sporadic. Maybe 4 groups of announcements every year, probably somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And other than that, there's still a lot of these titles that people have never heard of. I mean, stuff like Alucarda, which is a mind-blowing film from them, most people have never seen. And so we're trying to say, when there's not announcements, we're going to do an episode where we cover 2 of their catalog titles. We're going to watch them. We're going to deep dive them. If we can, we'll bring on another expert that was on the release. We might have Jared on if it's one of his favorite films, but we'll just share our feelings, tell you what we thought about them, and wait until the next announcements. And in between, you get to go on a journey through their back catalog and find out what they've put out and see if you can fall in love with some of the movies too.
Just like I did. Yeah. I've got, it doesn't bother me because I don't have OCD too much, but
Right.
I have obviously a big split of red case and blue cases from the label. To some, that may be a big problem. But if I like to get them, if I'm buying it straight out, like you're getting the red case, and they do look nice, and they do separate them from other releases on the shelf, and they are very nice to have. But the film is the most important thing at the end of the day, so I don't mind having those blue cases. But I was just looking up there because I've got a whole row of them, and I just love them. They're one of my favorite labels. So always enjoy whenever a new Mondo Macabre podcast is dropped to listen to. Next up, another podcast that you are involved in. This is ridiculous. We won't go on to everything that you've touched, but we'll just touch on this one. This is one I'm a big fan of. Film Foundations, as it says, established this year as well. So, last year, 2024. This is less focused on physical media,
yes,
and more focused on actual films themselves, and maybe doing deep dives on a particular topic, like a director or a genre film, and is more, say, accessible to someone who's just a general film fan than someone who collects physical media. And I think that's fantastic. As at the end of the day, we all love physical media. Look at the behind us, we've got shelves full of physical media discs, but it's all for the film. And a podcast like this is fantastic. So what spurred this on is probably what I've just said. Like, you just wanted to talk about film first and not discs.
Yeah. So funny enough, this actually started because I'm a very lazy content creator in some ways. Like, I don't check my analytics. I don't pay attention to how many views I get. I'm not fighting for subscribers. My YouTube channel is still relatively small compared to most of the people in the space. But funny enough, I had noticed that I was, because of some of the friends that I made and some of the, people actually watch the disconnected stuff, people that are a little, there's no way to say this without sounding pretentious. People that are important to me ended up watching the show that surprised me, like Sean Baker, which is a huge name. And I noticed that after I started the Instagram account and he was following that for all the announcements, I just straight DM'd him out of nowhere and said, "Hey, I noticed that you follow the channel. Would you ever want to come on the YouTube show?" And he was like, "Yeah, of course. Let's do it." And I had him on the channel, and that was mind blowing to me. But what's funny is, because it's a physical media show primarily, hardly anybody watched it. It's got many more views now, but for the first year, it got less than most of my weekly live streams. It had a few hundred views at most, and this guy's now won a Palme d'Or.
Exactly. That's baffling. And yeah, you're probably right. It's due to the algorithm putting it, because it's like physical media is your channel, and so you're being put into that lane when you're being promoted to other people to watch stuff. So the fact that it's Sean Baker, who is a celebrated and well respected director, and especially now, obviously he hadn't won the Palme d'Or at the point you had him on your channel, but he's very in the zeitgeist in film culture right now with the Nora and everything like that. So what a get to have him on your channel. I mean, I remember I watched that one live because I was at work, and I was just like, this is surreal, that this guy is on your, and the fact that he loves physical media as well. I love his Instagram, because he just collects movie posters as well.
Oh yeah.
And on some of the posters I just drool over, because I'm like, whoa, they're very impressive, some of the things that he's got in his collection. But yeah, Film Foundations is just a fantastic podcast for anyone who might not be super into physical media but just want to learn about a particular theme, genre, filmmaker. As I said, it's Film Foundations, and I love that one.
So yeah, that's what brought it on, actually, is because I was getting no views on my stuff about movies, and I'm like, that's what I love. I love physical media too, but this is all about the film. So I started planning some idea of how I could focus on film and sort of integrate that into the channel. And eventually I just got too busy, so I couldn't integrate that into the channel. But then I made friends with the co-host, who is Chris Dashew, who is over at Weirding Way Media, podcast network that has the Projection Booth podcast on there. And we met during that Mike White collaboration that I was talking about. And Chris and I, we hit it off at first, but we didn't really do much for the first 6 months or so. And then I think we went to talk about some Bollywood cinema, because he hosts the Bollywood Cinema Club podcast. And I went on there to talk about, funny enough, some Mondo Macabro titles from their Bollywood horror box. And he was like, we kind of worked really well together on this. Let's do more stuff. Like, I like this. Let's do more. And I said, well, I've got this idea that I've had in a note in my phone for maybe a year and a half now that I've got almost fully fleshed out. Let's finalize it and put it out to the world and see what we can do. And I shared that with him in October of 2023. And starting in like November, December, we were recording our first couple episodes to see how the format would feel. And we said, this works. This is entertaining. We like this. Let's full blown do this. So we planned a release date, and the release date was going to be about 5 months later. So we said, let's just record as many episodes as we can. And there were some weeks in January of 2024, February, somewhere around there, we were recording like 7 episodes in 1 week. Not kidding at all. Full blown research, get stuff together, and be able to discuss 7 full episodes in 1 week. And we had backlogged, by the time we went live, a good, I don't know, probably 30 episodes total, with guests and just the two of us. And it was great for a long time. And then unfortunately, about a month and a half ago, we realized that we were going to be coming to the end for a little bit, because Chris had a hell of a 2024. He had like 5 different personal emergencies. He was essentially, what's the best way to say this, marooned in Texas for like 7 weeks when he didn't plan on being stuck in Texas for almost 2 months. He had a couple close friends die. It was a really hard time. And so we've not been able to record together in quite some time. We do have more backlog, and it is coming back, I promise. But Film Foundations is so fun because we take the same 4 questions every single episode. So people have a structure to look forward to. And that's great if it's something that you're into or you've never heard before. But also, it's really easy for you to form arguments against us if you think we're wrong. So we answer 4 simple questions every single time, and we love interacting with people. So if you listen to it and you don't agree with something, tell us in the comments. We want to fight back with you.
Awesome. Yes, another podcast. Brilliant. Just ridiculous. It's not for me. I'm just like, it seems like too much for one person or like to collaborate with. But for me, I'm like, I have many hours where I'm working and driving and doing things where I can consume all this. So I'm like, yeah, keep them coming because I'm good. But like, I just think crazy. So amongst other things that are on your plate, you also are a producer for TerraVision and Greyface.
Yes,
Films,
sir.
which is a label, 2 labels, sort of subdivision of TerraVision. I don't know how you want to label the label. Absolutely love the work that's been done by this company. Obviously, TerraVision started out as a like a partner label on OCN, and they left and branched out to do things by themselves. And I'm just in awe of, again, the sort of stuff that these labels are putting out. And you have, as a producer, you've contributed essay. Did you did an essay on Rumpelstiltskin?
I did.
Yeah. And Satanic was like, the disc was mostly produced by our friend Eugenio Kalani because of his expertise in Italian film history, genre, and all that sort of stuff.
That only happened because I got him on the disc. I was the one that reached out and made that connection. So
there you go. So the producer producing, and I love that disc. And then I don't actually personally have this River because I got the Third Windows one. Right. But the stuff that's coming out from Greyface as well is all very exciting and scratches an itch that the main bulk of like what TerraVision typically are about is sort of being met by Greyface per se. So how did your collaboration with TerraVision come about, and how's it going, and what obviously you can't spoil things that are coming out, but like, what does 2025 look like for TerraVision?
Sure. Well, kind of similar to when we talked about Mondo Macabro, I had met Brad Henderson years ago because I wanted to interview him on the show because he likewise is very prolific. He has a very active social media presence. At the time, he was working at Vinegar Syndrome, doing acquisitions and producing and a bunch of other stuff. And that kind of person is the person I want to talk to learn from, and to just, scratch my itch, because they're incredibly interesting. And Brad and I have just talked over the years. He is incredibly knowledgeable. He's somebody that I could ask questions to even a couple of years ago, before any of this collaboration truly started. And he would give, full honest answers, give good feedback, help out if needed. And he has been great. And eventually, TerraVision got to the point where they had Ryan Grayface, who runs the entire thing, and then Brad Henderson. And then the only other person they had at the time was Justin Beam, who is a producer over at Reverend Entertainment. And he was working with them, not necessarily full time, but he was doing a lot with them, helping, with some of the Paramount stuff, because he was friends with Paramount Pictures. And they just got so busy. They had so many titles that they had acquired that they needed more people to step in and literally just help produce. And this industry is funny, because most people are friendly with each other, but there are certain people that either, like, you find out you can't trust certain people, or you find out that somebody looks down on the type of stuff that you create. And for one reason or another, a lot of people don't love shot on video stuff. And for a little while, TerraVision was putting out a lot of shot on video, because it was stuff that they had full packages ready to go. It was easier to get those out while they were working on other things. And TerraVision has that reputation, which is hilarious to me, because shot on video stuff is only like a third of their entire catalog. But at that time, they just needed more help behind the scenes. So in December, I think, of 2023, Brad just called me out of the blue, and he asked how I was doing, and wished me a Merry Christmas, and then said, "So I really called to ask, how would you feel about doing some production work for us behind the scenes?" And I immediately said, "Yes, I'll figure it out." Uh, I knew I was busy, but I also knew this opportunity is not going to come very often for somebody that is a YouTube podcaster nerd guy that's just sitting here doing nothing. And I said, I will happily do it. Don't tell my wife. I'll try to lay it on her softly, and we'll go from there. So I talked it over with the wife, and she's like, "Yeah, sounds great. Go for it." And immediately started work on what I still probably the most proud of at TerraVision is I was starting to work on Nail Gun Massacre, the 1985 slasher film that we put out that is incredible. I still can't believe that I was able to work on this disc, but what I did on there was enough for them to say, "You do incredible work. Please keep doing stuff." And so I started to hire people for extras. I started to do QC on extras. I started to give feedback on written essays. I started to um, vet information, so that what we're putting out is something that we can stand behind. A lot of people take for granted, sort of, that some of these people might work on an audio commentary for a couple weeks, record it, turn it into the label. The work's still not done. Not only do you have to time it with the release, but I need to listen to the audio commentary and make sure you're not saying anything that is flagrant or talking down on anybody, but also just blatantly false. So
Yeah.
I have to go through and research what you talk about too, to make sure it's something that we want to represent the company. So I do a lot of QC on stuff like that. I've made connections for TerraVision that they've used to get some of these releases out, and it's been great. As far as what 2025 holds, there's no easy way to say this, but people are not ready. Like I said, people have looked down on TerraVision quite a bit because of shot on video, and we have titles. We've started to sort of reveal that Rumpelstiltskin is a huge title. People have been after this for decades, literally in a nice, high quality
very
form.
quickly. Sold
Yeah.
very quickly as well.
Rumpelstiltskin is like the tip of the iceberg for what is going to be coming this year. And not only are we talking incredible cult titles, stuff that we've announced before, like Gatorbait 1 and 2 are on the way this year. Big Top Pee Wee is coming in a wonderful UHD release that we're producing right now. We have titles that are, childhood favorites for many of us. We have titles that are huge demands on physical media. We have titles that have maybe made a Blu-ray debut overseas that are going to show up here maybe in 4K, maybe on Blu-ray, better than other places. But the biggest thing, TerraVision quietly is like one of the better labels for special features right now. And
Oh yeah.
not just, I'm not just saying because of me or anything like that, but everything that they require on these releases, they're delivering. Nail Gun Massacre, for example, had 2 new audio commentaries for
Yeah.
that movie, which is hilarious.
Yep.
I did, I think, 5 new interviews for that disc. We also got like a couple new visual essays. There's all kinds of promotional stills and stuff that we threw on there. That is a huge package for a film like Nail Gun Massacre, on top of it being the 4K debut, and it looks incredible on disc. And you're going to see a lot more of that this year, I promise.
Yeah, special features are insane. Just because this is but to hand, like the amount of special features that are on this Popotopoulos, it's
That is
insane.
so crazy.
It's so much stuff. You're like, it's longer than the copy on the back. It's like ridiculous, but fantastic. I mean, I haven't even gone through it all, but I've gone through a lot of it, and I'm like, whoa, this is just intense. But I absolutely love it. So yeah, more of that. Speaking of SOV, like I've had a revelation in the last maybe 18 months or so where I've just been consuming so much SOV stuff, and I absolutely love it.
Nice.
Some of it is interesting to watch. Not necessarily say I found it entertaining or such, but some of it is just unreal. The creativity that people have, and I think sometimes you have to put yourself in a mindset of like, you have to respect like the tools that these people had and what they're aiming for with what they got. But for some people, I guess that's not enough. They still need to have, I don't know, a budget of some description. But one of my favorite releases from last year, Hell's Highway.
Yeah,
Absolutely love that film. Like one of my
amazing.
favorite discs of last year. But that's an SOV thing that a lot of people may put their nose up at because of the image quality, and
Right.
in some respects the sound quality is not all up to scratch. I tend to find a lot of the time with SOV titles, I'll watch it with subtitles on. I know some people do that anyway with all types of films.
Yeah.
But I typically, if it's in English language, I don't put the subtitles on. But for some SOV things, it's necessary.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Through no fault of like the disc authoring or anything like that. It's just the element that is
Right.
available for what's being, presented to you. But yeah, there's so much charm, and just the whole culture behind SOV is just fascinating. And I'm like learning more about some of the people who pop up in a lot of these things more often. Like what ones have I watched recently on the last couple of years? The Charles Pinion films, like Red Spirit Lake. I just love that. It's so good. But like maybe 5 years ago, I would have maybe even got like 15-20 minutes through that and maybe turned it off. Maybe, I don't know. But tastes evolve, and you become more accepting to things, or open-minded at least. And yeah, now I'm just like, anything that comes up from like Saturn's Core, that's SOV, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting that.
Saturn's Core is so great.
And then TerraVision are now collaborating with Culture Shock.
Yeah, funny enough, this was a lot of people forgot, but this was announced back in August of 2023 that Culture Shock was a partner label of Greyface. They had put out Night of the Bastard, and then that shipped in, I think, January or February of 2024 finally. But that was it. They went quiet. Daniel, who is the owner of Culture Shock Releasing, has had a couple rough years of stuff that he's been going through. And now they just announced Assault of the Party Nerds 1 and 2 coming out. That's their second disc. And there's definitely more coming. I know a lot of people are like, ooh, they're back for one release. Who knows when the next?
Yeah.
And yeah, there is more coming, definitely.
Awesome. Fantastic. More SOV. Brilliant. Cool. Have I got another slide? Yeah. This is the main reason why I wanted to actually bring you on. A highlight for, a lot of people in the space, the physical media enthusiasts around the world. The Shelf Shop Rewind Awards. So this is the third iteration of the awards. Each year it's progressively got bigger and better, with more awards to be given out to deserving winners. Very, very excited. I have to say that I love the design on this. Did you design this?
No, this
No.
is this is still the original co-creator of Shelf Shock with me, Stephen Billings. He
Okay.
does a lot of the visuals. I would love to do stuff like this. I just don't have the time or really the artistic ability. He's so much better than me.
But I'll just tell a little bit about it, and then you can take the floor on it.
Sure.
But it's essentially an award show for a breadth of physical media across
Yeah.
from around the world, where you'll give awards to best video presentation, audio presentation, but also go into things like special features. So
Yeah.
best audio commentary, best written essay, best visual essay, and just celebrate the contributors to the extras that go into these discs, which for a lot of people can make a release. Fit the film is fantastic, but like giving it all that context, as we've already said in the show up to this point, it can really round out a package, and for some people can be a reason why to pick up a disc in the first place.
Right.
Because it's what separates a lot of physical what separates physical from streaming sometimes. Well, one, pitch quality and audio quality, but also you don't get extras on streaming services.
Exactly.
And this is just like a big sort of party gathering where you live stream an award show, which sounds stressful in itself. Last year you had the wonderful Celeste being your co-host,
Yep.
and I think that went fantastic. And yeah, you get multiple people in the space to sort of present awards as well. So YouTubers, film critics, anyone in the space who puts themselves forward to present an award, record little videos. There's a lot of introductions to some of the things that are going to be announced during the evening, and it's just a really wholesome, fantastic celebration of everything that has come before in the last year. And I really look forward to it. That's the third iteration. I'm sure it's going to be bigger and better than it was last year. And yeah, so a little bit more from your perspective about what's going on with this year, and about voting, everything like that. If you want to take the floor on that bit.
Yeah, so first, I have changed co-host every year just to get more eyes on people. And first year was the co-founder Stephen Billings, and then shortly after that, his wife had a baby, and he was like, "Well, I can't do as much anymore," which totally understand. I've got two kids of my own, so we went from him to Celeste La Cabra last year, and then this year, I wanted to bring on Michelle Kisner, who is a critic, a writer. She contributes to audio commentaries, written essays. She's done maybe a visual essay, I think, that she's assisted with, and a lot more to come. Had her on my show, and once again, like something just clicked. I was like, I love talking to you. I feel like we should do more. And so now she's written for the magazine. We've got more collaborations in the work on that front as well. But my big thing is I wanted to show her to the world. And one of the ways that I can do that, this tends to get a lot of eyes on it. And so I wanted to bring her on. And this year is going to be crazy. We've got, I think it's 27 categories that we give awards to. And it's kind of interesting the way we do it, I think, because we treat it like the Academy for the Oscars. We have a group of people that we call the Creator Selection Committee that are filmmakers, that are label owners, that are producers themselves, that are podcasters, that are YouTubers, that are people paying attention to these discs that know them well, that they collaborate on the categories to choose nominees for all the categories. Then the nominee fills in the voting poll that goes out to the entire world to be able to vote on. And so you have a selection of titles that you can choose, or you've got a write-in option. If you're, against those five, or you've got a personal favorite, please write something in there. But the way this is all set up, they were doing all that last month in December of 2024. And now voting is open for everybody throughout the entire month of January. You can vote anywhere now, all the way up until the very end of January 31st. And the link to vote is kind of everywhere. Everybody that's involved has been posting it. You can see it everywhere. It's on all of the disconnected social media. Anything that you want, you can probably find there somewhere. It is going to be crazy because this year is such a difficult year. Choosing my nominees, I literally like sat down at a dark desk in this very cliche environment and like, what do I do here? Because I could nominate 20 titles on some of these categories and not feel bad about it. What was worse after was I then had to choose how to vote because now you're nominating, or you've nominated, 5 titles, and now you have to narrow those down or choose another one that you think is even better. And that's so difficult in a year like we just had with physical media. So yes, it's going to be tough, but if you are a fan of film or physical media, or you ride hard for one of the releases that came out last year, you can just vote for that one. None of the categories are required. You can just vote for a very specific release in 5 different categories that you think it's deserving of, and then submit the poll, and you're good to go. And you will have affected the vote on these somehow. And it's a great time. We do giveaways, we do live trivia, we do a lot of interesting things, and not to mention that it's affected physical media. So the first year we did this, title from one of the Vinegar Syndrome partner labels won an award, and the next day they sent out a big email saying that title won an award last night, and now it's on sale for 24 hours. And that blew my mind. I was like, well, these labels are treating it like a real thing. So now I got to step it up. After that first year, that was cool and all, but the second year kind of exploded, and we get some of these labels from these the winning categories. They will come in and accept the awards, and we'll have a video with them to be able to show how much they appreciate everybody voting for it and how much it means to them. We get some pretty big names to present some of these. We even do in memorial tribute to the one and only Sergio Mims, and give a very specific, like 10-minute focused time for everybody in physical media to look at somebody that goes above and beyond behind the scenes in physical media. Can't wait to share who that is this year. It was a tough year because a lot of us were close with Lee Gambin, of course. And one of my favorite memories from the second Shelf Shock Rewind Awards, about 3/4 of the way through that awards, Lee popped into the live chat, and he was watching live from Australia, and said, "This is beautiful. You should do this every few months." And I laughed so hard because this thing takes like months to plan and work out and get people all over the world to submit videos, and doing it every couple months, I immediately had a heart attack. But it was great. And I love to be able to see the reactions to last year's. Hope we continue down the right path. Don't forget, you can vote the entire month of January. Ends January 31st. And then the live show, of course, as you can see on the screen, February 16th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We're there on YouTube on a couple different channels. We'll be on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere that you want to log on that shows live videos. You can pretty much watch it live.
Yeah, I'll leave the links and stuff in the description below, just as an extra, spot for someone to vote for their favorite releases of the year, which is extremely hard. I've voted, and some of the categories are like scratching your head, like, what do I do? Because I don't want to. Exactly. I don't want to be the. If I vote for this, but this one deserves to be voted for as well. What do I do? So you just have to go with your gut sometimes, but it's fantastic. So I look forward to it. Fantastic. I think that's all I have to say about Mr. Ryan Verrill and his many exploits, and it's not even extensive. And there are other things, I'm sure, behind the scenes that you're working on or have going on. Flat out. Yeah, I've got loads of extra things. Is there? Oh no. Let's get back there. Is there anything you want to highlight or promote right now? As we have this time to spotlight something?
I mean, the general YouTube channel, we talked about the live show a little bit, but every Thursday night I'm live with a guest that is a part of this community somehow, to go over all of the physical media announcements for the last week. And then after that, we have some sort of film discussion. And personally, don't tell my family, but it's the thing I look forward to the most every week. It's something, I don't know, cathartic about just coming to like my family away from family. It's quiet. It's home, it feels like. And so we discuss everything. And it's crazy when you think, oh, there can't be that many physical media announcements. Average week, we're talking 60 to 70 announcements. It's wild. So that happens. And then afterwards, we'll do like a list, or get somebody's opinions on the state of film, or discuss a director or something like that. And it's great. But on top of all the live show stuff, the YouTube channel, I also do interviews quite often on there. It used to be every single Monday I would be posting a new one. I'm just flat out too busy now. I'm so busy that right now I've got, I think 3 completed, just waiting to be edited.
Right.
need to get those in as soon as possible. 2 of them I got to get approved by the people that I interviewed, so
Oh
it's gonna be
wow.
an even longer process. Yeah, it's a good time. I've had like I mentioned, Sean Baker was one of the big ones. I've had some other pretty big filmmakers like Joe Lynch was on my show. I had Josh Rubin. A lot of people know him from College Humor and Dropout and Werewolves Within and a bunch of other stuff that he's been working on. I had Todd Strauss Schulson, which is a really great indie director. He did a couple different movies like Final Girls. He did one of the Harold and Kumar movies. He was incredible to speak to. But really, my big backlog is I've got interviews with almost every single boutique label out there. The ones that are able to be contacted, at least. I'm working on some others, but there are some that are just kind of private and they don't really speak publicly about a lot of things.
Second Sight?
I'm working on that one right now.
I say, because I don't think there's anything really out there with them guys, and they're like one of the, I mean, in my opinion, like for single film releases, one of the premier, companies. So interesting to get some an interview with them. I'll be fascinated by that. If you can get that done, that'll be a coup.
I'm hoping this year to at least get Escott on the show.
Nice. Well, hope that works out for you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's it for the most part. Yeah, other stuff I can't really say yet.
I understand.
One of the biggest things that I want to talk about, I'm just literally not allowed to yet.
Yeah, that's the thing with knowing things behind the scenes, is you're itching to talk about stuff, and you're just I've got to bide my time. And then, some things can be, handed in, I guess, for physical media, like extras and stuff. And then you can take a long months, even up to a year longer before things actually get announced or come out and things like that. So you're just like, oh yeah, that was worked on back in the day. And
funny enough,
about that.
Our first commentary we ever did has still never been announced to come out yet. And we recorded that back in July of 2023. I think it's supposed to be announced this month, but some delays could still happen. We'll see.
Oh, I'd be intrigued to find out what that is. Wow, that's a long outset.
Yeah,
was there delays in getting the package together, or is it just that this company might have a big release schedule?
From what I hear, they had planned on doing Blu-ray, and they discovered an element that made it possible to do 4K, and so that whole changeover is what caused the delay.
Okay, intriguing. I like speculating what things are coming out, because I've got my finger on the pulse, of like things that people want to come out, and things that are like overdue releases, or like cult items that like why isn't this on disc, like Blu-ray yet, and stuff. So I know a lot of the titles that are like bubbling under the surface, maybe, but like either the rights are difficult to sort out, or all manner of things that can contribute to why something's taking its time or just isn't going to be coming out for the foreseeable future. But yeah, I'm always like, oh, what could that be? It could be that. Oh, I don't know. And then it usually comes out or announced, and I'm like, oh, it was way off. And I'm usually pleasantly surprised about what these things are.
I can add to the speculation with two things, I think. One, it's a company that someone's favorite productions has not publicly been announced as working with yet. So it'll be like a brand new one. And then the other thing, it will be for a director that many people will be stoked beyond belief for, including you.
Oh, okay. Oh, now you've got me thinking. What a tease. Awesome. Right. One last question before we sign off. What do you hope for physical media in 2025, as we've just started the new year? Like what sort of things that are maybe lacking from previous years? Or, just what are your hopes and dreams for physical media in 2025?
Not a vague question at all. I love it. Let's see. There's first of all, I hope we continue the trend with seeing many of these Grail title comes out. People that titles that we thought were impossible. I mean, last year we got Gummo and Trick or Treat and Happiness, and I could name 10 more that were almost equally surprising to me that we got last year. So keep those coming. From what I hear, not that they're, what's the best way to say this? Not that they're drying up exactly, but I hear we're probably going to see a slowdown in some of the Hong Kong titles
Okay.
and see an increase in Japanese films, which is exciting for me.
Yep.
Love a lot of Japanese cinema, so that's good. Probably my biggest thing though is I would love to see either a decrease in prices or prices staying at least the same. There are multiple companies out there that have done things to encourage people to purchase at lower prices. Funny enough, two of the companies I work with, Deaf Crocodile, just lowered prices on their standard editions to encourage people to pick up those. The other thing is TerraVision. They are likely starting I don't remember what they're calling it, but I've heard it in other industries referred to as like surge pricing, kind of. Or no, that's the wrong title. It's incentive pricing, something like that, where
Okay.
for the first week after they announce it, it'll be a lower price, and then after that, it'll go up by $3 or $4. And
Okay.
so it's to encourage pre-orders because that's the most cost-effective time for a label to get the most orders in. And yeah, that's difficult for people and encourages FOMO and all that. But again, I'll just say if you want something, buy it. If not, don't. That's how you get rid of FOMO. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, exactly. When you say it like that, it's quite straightforward. Like,
Yeah.
do you want it? Buy it. If you're not sure or you're on the fence, like save your money and or just save your money
Exactly.
or buy something else that you do want. Like, yeah, there's sometimes a feeling that a lot of people need to get everything. And that's fine if you can financially afford it. I know I'm sure if I was in a position where I could get more than what I get now, I would. But I have to pick and choose. And it makes things when they come in like a bit more special.
Yeah.
And to support the companies that you love or you think are doing the most interesting things to you personally, and then that's obviously different for everyone. You may have your niche that you lean towards. Yeah, I hope that Grails is one that came to my mind because we've had so many things. Obviously, we knew it was coming from for a while, but like the Hitcher, wow. Yeah, there's just a bunch of things. I'm excited for some of the teasers that some of the labels have got coming out, like the Radiance teasers, because they're like one of my favorites as well. I can say that about so many labels, they're one of my favorites, but like for UK based labels anyway, I think Radiance might be my favorite. Doing some absolutely stellar work. Yeah, just show me things that I haven't seen and just open my eyes to new stuff. That's what I'm all about. And SOV, yeah. Give me all the SOV trash. I'll gladly purchase that. I'm really excited about I'm really excited about the Nakatsu line from 88 Films. I picked up the 4 that they've come out so far. And they've got a couple more coming out in March. So I'm intrigued to see where they go with that and how many they've actually got on license because, who knows? But hopefully it's many because some of these films have looked terrible. A lot of them have been like VHS rips and stuff that people have watched on, not so kosher websites.
Right.
And yeah, so I've watched 2 of them from 88 Films so far from the new line, and they look stunning. So they've, the restorations was sorely needed on some of those things, especially they're such niche areas of cinema for some people. But very excited for that, and yeah, just excited for all the more commentaries from people, and yeah, just another year of discovery and just building the community more. Continue watching what you're doing and the channel. We're excited to see who wins at the Shelf Shock Awards, and hopefully any, not outsiders, but hopefully some smaller labels get some awards, get more eyes on them, and that's always a plus. I know I nominated some labels that I think truly deserve some recognition and stuff, and hopefully something comes of that. But yeah, I'm excited.
Me too.
Very, very cool. I think that's it. I don't have anything else to say. I'll leave all the links to every single podcast we talk about in the description, to your main channel, to the Someone's Productions website, because there's a fantastic website where you've got like all your collaborators that you've got, and then there's a list of all the things that you've worked on, which is fantastic. Like from all the different labels and all the discs that you contributed towards. There's a thing. There's things missing from that, yeah. Yep. But all the Deaf Crocodile stuff that you worked on, and just like a bio as well, because it's nice to have a personal touch of like all the people that have contributed, and like who are they, where do they live, like not their address, but where in the world are they from, and what are they about, what's their backgrounds and stuff, because that can inform like a piece as well, knowing who they are, because a lot of the times on these discs and stuff, you just have a name and you can get a feel of who they are if you read enough of their work. I feel like Jasper Sharp and stuff is a writer I admire quite a lot, and you get a feel of who he is, I guess, through his writing, and his passion comes through. But having that is really nice as well. So
one of the things I tried to combat, and not to end this, I guess, on a negative note, but I've had a handful of people that have, whether it be online or personally to me in my comment section, flat out said, we don't want a YouTuber working on these releases or extras.
Okay.
And honestly, valid. If that's what that person is, totally get it. But I hope people can see, I mean, I didn't start all of this because I was a YouTuber. I didn't even start YouTube because I wanted to be a YouTuber. I did this because I had information that was being shared in YouTube in the wrong way, and just sharing wrong information. I just wanted to help spread the right information. And if we have that, that's what we want to share in a way that you enjoy watching. And a lot of the people that I've, surrounded myself with Someone's Favorite Productions, they're smarter than me, and that's why I picked them. I don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room. And based on that, we all lift each other up. And a lot of those smart people, they need a good editor. And I think I'm a decent editor. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I've learned something from you today, and I just thought I'd, promote you, what you've been doing, all the different things that you've contributed towards and continue to contribute towards, and everyone vote for the things for Shelf Shock Awards, because it's a fantastic award ceremony and puts a lot of eyes on the community and all the work that gets done, because it's not thankless, because people do get appreciated for the stuff they do, but it's like it's a lot of work that goes into it, and maybe not as much of reward, like financially. Like,
it's very
without going into money.
Like, a lot of people don't get to hear feedback.
Yeah, for sure. So when I've given feedback to people, like I've reached out, like DM people, and just say, "Oh, I read your essay in that physical release and stuff," and they're like, "You're the only person that's like contacted them to tell me I've like done." I'm like, "Oh, that's surprising," because like there are three. Like some limited editions with the booklets going to have 3,000 copies, and only one person has reached out to you to say, "Oh, I really enjoyed your essay." It's like, it's a bit not sad, but like, oh, I'm sure many people have read it, but like, that's another thing. If you enjoy a piece of work and this person is like openly on social media, just reach out to them and just tell them like how much you appreciated the work they do, because that'll go a long way to like, esteem, and just like realizing that the work they do is valued by people, because it is, but people need to hear it more. So that was a closing remark. We'll end on the positive of that, shall we?
Good.
Right. Thanks again for your time, Ryan. And everyone watching or listening, take care, and I'll see you next time.